It's your boy Alex. Today's Tuesday. I'm still on my break on my other YouTube channels, but I do have two sports channels, and they have been inactive for the past 4 weeks. I ain't forgot about the last and final episode in the wrestling series, but the NBA season is fast approaching, and July 30th is within 2 weeks. And what better to celebrate the return of professional basketball with another video. This one's going to be very interesting because this one's going to be good. And if it's very well received, and I mean it, if it's very well received, you know what that means, right? I make a part two. Part two is very good. I make a part three. All of this until we get to the actual NBA season. I know your men out there are bored and scratching your head like, hurry up and bring the NBA season back. So let me try to cheer you guys up with an actual sports video. This one's going to be called the top 11 NBA greatest basketball coaches of all times. Now, I apologize. That is a long title for a video. It's called the top 11 greatest coaches in basketball. We'll just probably put the top 11 greatest basketball coaches of all times. NBA. All right. It's supposed to be 10, but we have 11 coaches that won championships. Some as basketball players, and then as coaches, and then ones that just won a championship as an actual coach. So if your favorite coach is not on this list and he won a championship, then I don't know what to tell you. I only have 11 spots. It was supposed to be 10. I extended it to 11. Only have 11 spots, 11 slots. So if your favorite coach ain't on here and he won a title, oh well. The more I add names, the longer the video lasts. And a lot of people do not like to watch videos that are like 35, 45, 50 minutes. Trust me, I look on the analytics. They don't like when I make long, lengthy videos. They actually hate when I make videos that are like too long. I make them between 15 to 30 minutes, they watch. But as soon as I make a video 35, 45, 50 minutes, they get upset. Because that's like too long of a video. They want me to get straight to the point of the video. So try to bear with me. Coming at number 11 is Tyronn Lue. Now, Tyronn Lue is a guy that nobody expects to rise to greatness. I mean, nobody didn't. I mean, he played high school basketball. He was okay. He played, some college basketball. He was a good role player. And then he popped up on the scene with the Los Angeles Lakers in the 2000s. Now, he's a good perimeter shooter. He plays offense. He plays some strong defense. He's known as a defensive stopper because one of his best highlights was the 2001 NBA Finals against Allen Iverson and the Philadelphia 76ers. And the only one that could stop Allen Iverson was him. He hit some three-pointers. He stole the ball. And he managed to win 3 NBA championships. Now, he's played like on 5 or 6 different basketball teams in 13 years of his NBA career. 13, 14 years in the NBA. And then he retires. And then he gets the phone call of a lifetime. He teams up with LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then all of a sudden they go to the NBA Finals. He loses against the Golden State Warriors, but then they come back and they win the 2016 NBA championship, and then he becomes a champion as a coach. So to win 3 championships as a basketball player and then turn around and then do it again as a coach is incredible because in his basketball career, we all knew that he was not going to be a superstar like Kobe Bryant or like Shaq. No one expected. As a coach, to be with LeBron James, one of the best premier basketball players, he is now taken serious as a NBA coach. Because he's won championships as a basketball player, he's won a championship as a coach, he's gone to the NBA Finals 3 times as a coach, it now brings his stock value higher than it was as a basketball coach. So now when you talk about winners, his name is mentioned in the conversation of coaches. So he's won as a player and he won as a coach. He's gone to the finals on both ends. So if you ask him what's the difference between winning championships as a player, he was out there on the team having fun with Shaq and Kobe, whereas a coach, he gets to coach one of the greatest basketball players alive today. That's LeBron James. And what more could you ask for? To play with Kobe Bryant, who's arguably one of the greatest of all times, God rest his soul, rest in peace, to coaching another player that will no doubt go down in history as the greatest of all times. So Tyronn Lue is going to be taken very, very serious. He's no slouch. The guy knows how to win as a player, as a coach. He's got 13, 14 years of experience. He knows this game, basketball. He knows it better than anybody. And if you're in high school and college, that's the guy I would probably learn from. If I could go back in time and play basketball in high school and college and then come into the NBA, he's the one guy I would learn from, because the guy is a black man who has actually got to the level that most guys never get to. He's broken. He's kind of like the second or third coach in NBA history to kind of like break that mode. To play as a player, win as a player, turn around and win as a coach. I mean, other than Tyronn Lue is Doc Rivers, and that's a great honor to be in that class. Coming in at number 10 is Chuck Daly, God rest his soul, rest in peace. You know, he did tragically pass away like a long time ago. He was taken from us too soon, and he's by far one of the best NBA coaches you'll ever meet. You know, he is the big reason why the Detroit Pistons gone to the NBA Finals 3 times and won 2 championships. You know, he is the man. He is the myth. He is the legend. He is Chuck Daly. He's not just any basketball coach or Hall of Famer. He's one of these great coaches that knows how to get inside the minds of other coaches and their players. Teams that played against the Pistons stayed up at nighttime. Those classic matchups of the Chicago Bulls and the Pistons in the 1980s were the stuff of legend. As a kid, I would see an actual rivalry. Like, you talk about rivalries, you're talking about Muhammad Ali versus Frazier. That's what this was. You knew right off the bat that Detroit Pistons was like a Joe Frazier, and you knew the Bulls was like a Muhammad Ali. Here's this young, upcoming Michael Jordan. This guy scoring 20, 40 points a night, and one team and this one coach that seems to have an answer for every time Michael Jordan does something. It took Michael not one, not two, not three, but it took Michael like 4 or 5 times to figure out how to beat the Detroit Pistons. Yeah, Michael could dominate the game, but the coach figured out how to find out Michael Jordan's weakness. And it's not until like 4 seasons later that Phil Jackson comes, and now Chuck Daly now has a rival that can now match him as a coach. And you could see how the passing of the torch had been passed. When Chuck Daly passed the torch to Phil Jackson of who was going to become the coach in the next decade and a half, you could kind of say he was there, he lived the experience, and the fact that he would play golf with Michael Jordan during the off NBA season showed he's not just one of these coaches that's all about winning the game. You know, he interacts with everyone, basketball players, fans, invite him over to lunch and dinner, plays golf with Michael Jordan. And the fact that they did touch on it in the Last Dance documentary was good, but you know, real basketball at that time, and I say real basketball, Chuck Daly, if he was alive today and he saw what was going on in today's NBA, he probably would still be able to adapt to its style and still be able to figure out how to get inside the minds of coaches, basketball players, and find out their weaknesses. He was good at finding your player's weakness and telling the team this is how you exploit somebody's weakness on offense, defense, how you shut them down in the game, how you make them play. If they can't shoot, he would explore that. If you could make free throws, he would explore that as a coach. And then he would tell Isaiah Thomas, make him attack the basket, make him shoot his best shot. And basketball players would miss their best shot against the Detroit Pistons. So on the floor, you had the floor general, Isaiah Thomas. On the floor, as a coach, you had Chuck Daly. We will always remember his excellence and his rivalries with the Bulls. Coming in at number 9 is Erik Spoeistra. He was once a cameraman, once upon a time, a video coordinator who just recorded basketball games. And he had done it in college. Then he gets a job from the Miami Heats. Every team passed on him. You know, the Celtics passed on him, the Bulls, the New Jersey Nets, the Knicks. Every team passed on him as a video coordinator. But not Pat Riley. not the man, not the legend, Pat Riley, he saw some potential. He saw some greatness in Erik Spoeistra, and sorry if I butchered the last name, and the legend of that story began. Pat Riley said, I'm not going to be the head coach this time around. You are. And he got an honor that most basketball coaches never get. He got to be a part of a super team. He got to have Dwayne Wade. He got to have Chris Bosh. He got to have LeBron James and veteran basketball players like Hugh Haslam and Alonzo Mourning. And what do you get? You get the Miami Heats. And the fact that he was there from the very beginning, like he was an assistant coach when he saw Dwayne Wade win a championship in 2006, and then he learned from Pat Riley, and then he won back-to-back NBA championships and gone to the NBA Finals 4 times. And you see, I still think that he's a young enough guy that if they build up Miami from the ground up, give it about another 5, 6 years, this Miami Heat's team will be coached to another NBA championship. He has the potential to go back. He knows what it takes to win because he's won twice, but he's gone to 4 finals in three. I think it's 4 finals in 3 years. So he knows what it takes to win. He knows what winning feels like. He knows what losing feels like. And he's coached a superstar, LeBron James. Seems like on this list, a lot of people have coached LeBron James. And the fact that everyone knows who he is, where you didn't know who he was from before. He was a video coordinator. Then he became an assistant coach. I remember at the time the outrage, the public outcry. Why are you picking a guy that has limited experience? And Pat Riley says, how do you think most people in life start off? Everyone starts off with zero experience. They meet someone that has experience. They train them. They put them under their wing. They build them up. Then they let them go out into the world and fend for themselves and see if they can prop themselves up. And this coach has done that. Now, nothing has happened in recent years, but like I said, in 4 or 5 years, he will coach Miami to another championship. And this will show that he will become Pat Riley's successor. So you should look at how he's come this far. All right, coming in at number 8 is going to be Rudy Tomjanovich. Now, he was once a basketball player, good basketball player in high school, college, played on 4 professional basketball teams. And here's the thing, he played for the Houston Rockets in those late 1970s, early 80s. He played about 8.5 years, 8 or 9.5 years of professional basketball. We all know the story. It's real documented. He got into a fight with a basketball player that accidentally punched him in the face, and it ruined his face, and he had to get surgery, and it ended his basketball career. But it didn't stop him from achieving greatness. He just reinvented himself. Most basketball players, when they suffer a serious fatal injury and it ruins their career, they're just down in the dumps. But not this guy. He showed that he was tough, witty, intelligent. He came as an assistant coach. Then he became head coach of the Houston Rockets. And then in the 1990s, he has an all-star cast. You get Clyde the Drugster, who came much later on this Houston Rockets team, a young Robert Horry, Hakeem Olajuwon, and what do you get? You get the Houston Rockets. And then to win the 1994 NBA Finals, he wins a championship as a coach, where he probably would have won one as a player, he won one as a coach. They think it's luck. They think he just got lucky. What happens the very next year? He goes to the 1995 NBA Finals. He repeats and wins back-to-back championships 2 years in a row. Now, had the team not been injured, had the team not had all these injuries, he probably would have won 3 championships 3 years in a row as a coach. And he had a motto, he had a philosophy. Don't ever count out the heart of a champion because you don't know what might happen. I mean, it's similar to what it's close, but the thing is, he won championships as a coach. And this Houston Rockets team has won championships. And whenever people try to compare, the James Harden Houston Rocket team with Chris Paul to this team, it's like there's no comparison. Like, yeah, James Harden is a breakout superstar, no doubt about it, no question. But when you're talking about the Houston Rockets that won the championships, No Houston Rocket team compares to this one. Like, if you had this coach in today's NBA system, he would just make James Harden play a lot of defense with the offense and make him a better perimeter shooter. Like James Harden is good at shooting, but if you take this coach and you have him in today's NBA, which he's still around, but if he was coaching that team, that version of the Houston Rockets, he would add some layers and dimensions to that team that the team don't have. Like we see James Harden and Westbrook, and we see flashes of this Houston Rockets team. But they don't have that coach that knows that experience from winning and losing on that level. All right, coming in at number 7, it's going to be Larry Brown. Now, Larry Brown is the first, if not the first, maybe the second, maybe possibly the third coach in NBA history and in basketball to win a double NCAA college basketball world championship and then to turn around, go to the NBA, and coach about 10 NBA basketball teams. Like he's coached 10 to 11 professional NBA basketball teams, but he's been in the NBA for like nearly 20 years. Because he coached the Indiana Pacers, he coached the Los Angeles Clippers, the New Jersey Nets, he coached the New York Knicks. He's coached a lot of basketball teams. At one point, he coached the Chicago Bulls at one point. And then he got his big break. He ended up coaching the Philadelphia 76ers, where he coached them to an NBA Finals, and he would be head to head with Phil Jackson, which to this day is one of his best moments as a coach. Had Allen Iverson just listened to Larry Brown, Allen Iverson would be sitting here the greatest basketball player, the greatest shooter, the greatest scorer. You name it, Allen Iverson would be great in all these categories had he just listened and came to practice. Unfortunately, he didn't. And eventually he would go coach the Detroit Pistons and go to the NBA Finals 2 years in a row. They beat he gets a rematch with the Lakers with a new team, and then he finally beats Phil Jackson as coach and wins his first championship ring. And then a year later, it's the Spurs in 2005. Of course, we know he coached the Charlotte Bobcats, so we know his track record. And, it's amazing what he's done to have the college championship and the NBA championship. He kind of broke the mold because the criticisms was college basketball coaches can only win championships in college. And when you try to translate the style of coaching from college basketball or college football to the counterpart of sports, they don't win anything. Like you look at Coach K. Coach K coached the Boston Celtics because he was good at winning championships as a college basketball coach, but it didn't translate to the NBA. And Larry Bird was able to do what Coach K was not able to do. That was to translate the game from college basketball coaching to playing in the NBA and be able to prove naysayers, skeptics, and critics wrong that I can coach that style, I can adapt that style, I can do it on multiple NBA teams. I can take your best player, your best power forward, small forward, center, shooter, and make them better than what they was when they first got drafted. And that's what Larry Brown's ability as a coach was able for him to do, to catch different things that other people might have missed. And as a result of that, that's why the Pistons were able to go to the finals twice, where when he was with the Pacers, he couldn't get there. When he was with the Clippers, the Knicks, he couldn't get there. He did it with Pistons. Before the Pistons, he had some success with the Philadelphia 76ers. All right, coming in at number 6 is going to be my man, Pat Riley. Oh, yes, you don't do a list without mentioning him. Now, he was also once a professional basketball player. Played about 10, 11 years of professional basketball, probably 12. Same thing. He got an injury that ended his basketball career, and he played with the Los Angeles Lakers. Oh, yeah, he played with the Lakers. And then when they needed a coach, Pat Riley got the job. And he became the coach of legend because he would win 3 championships with the Lakers. He would actually win 3 or 4 championships with the Lakers. And I want to say 2 to 3 because he actually won a total of 5 championships. But we're going to explain. He became an archetype coach who created a blueprint for all NBA teams to follow. And trust me, they did follow him because the next coach I mentioned actually did that much later in this video. He won a championship with the Lakers, then he won two. Then he won 3 championships. Then, towards the end of that run, he ends up going to a place called New York. Now, he was able to help the Knicks win basketball games in the season. He was able to help make them get into the playoffs. The Knicks got to the first round, the second round, but every time they got to Michael Jordan, the Knicks would lose. He would coach the New York Knicks for at least 3 or 4 seasons. Then he made his way to, need I say, he got them to he left the Knicks after a while, and then he finally went to Miami. And when he went to Miami, he became the president, and then he ended up becoming a coach later. And then in 2006, he made it big because he had Shaq, he had Dwayne Wade, and they were asking, how were you going to compete at a high level? We got Gregg Popovich, we got Phil Jackson. How are you going to get to Larry Brown and all these other coaches' level? And Pat Riley's whole optimistic was, we're just going to be better than all the other people. And he won a championship in 2006 as head coach of the Miami Heat. They gave him his third championship as a coach. And then we got to see him turn around and do it again when the Miami Heat won back-to-back titles. This time he became a president and won championships. So he's kind of transcended the style of coaches in a way that hasn't been done before, and it's trying to be repeated since. I mean, you turn around, you play basketball, you win it championships as a coach, you turn around and become president and you win championships. I mean, the next thing is to become a franchise owner and try to win a championship. So it seems like every time you see Pat Riley, the guy's like fine wine. The guy keeps getting better and better and better and better. And you know what they say? Men age like fine wine, and he ages good. The guy, every time we see Pat Riley, he gets better. And every time he wins a championship, it's a different job title. Like, think about it. He went from assistant coach to GM to president, and every time he does that, he always has a championship ring or goes to a finals when he does it. And in a way, he's called the archetype of what you expect a coach to do in the NBA. Coming in at number five, Steve Kerr. Now, Steve Kerr's won so many championships. Where do you put all of them? That's what I would ask him right now. Where do you put all those championship rings at, man? I mean, to play with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and to be coached by one of the greatest coaches of all time, who we will get to in the video, and to win 5 NBA to turn around and win 3 championships, and then turn around and play with the San Antonio Spurs, and to have more critical success, to learn from who's going to be the number 1 coach, and then to learn from Gregg Popovich, and then to turn around and win 3 championships as a Spurs player. Then to turn around and after 15 years of professional basketball retire, become an analyst, become a commentator, and all of a sudden get the phone call of a lifetime. Come in, Mark Jackson's gone, which I got to make another video called the top 10 or 11 greatest black NBA coaches, because somebody going to say, hey man, that video's coming. Give me some time to put the names together. That video is coming. Got a lot of sports to cover. And to turn around and win 3 championships as an NBA coach. So if you look at it, he wins 5 championships, because 3 championships with the Spurs, 5 with the Bulls. If you know your math, 5 plus 3 is 8. Then turn around and win 3 championships as a head coach. No one in the history of the NBA has actually done what Steve Kerr's done, to win multiple championships on 2 different basketball teams, 2 different franchises, go on to a 3rd team, and then come in and win 3 championships as coach of the Golden State Warriors. I mean, do you not see the success of Steve Kerr? Okay, you might say he was just a good role player with the Bulls and with the Spurs. He was never a superstar, but he's a superstar coach. So where he never got the respect and credit as a player, he's getting it as a coach because he's learned from Gregg Popovich. He also learned from another great coach who I'm going to mention in the video. So that's him coming in at number 4 is Doc Rivers. Now, Doc Rivers became another one of these coaches who either became the first, probably the second one, to break the barrier of playing as a basketball player and transitioning into a coach. Now, he gives all black men hope in the NBA because he done something that a lot of guys before him was not able to do. Isaiah Thomas, great basketball player, won championships, couldn't do it as a coach. And here comes Doc Rivers and says, I'm going to defy all expectations. I'm going to kick ass and take names. I'm going to show you it can be done. I'm going to take the approach. He played with the Los Angeles Lakers. He played with the Clippers. He played with the San Antonio Spurs. He plays with these teams and he wins championships as a player. Then he coaches the Orlando Magics with Tracy McGrady. A lot of people don't remember that. He coached the Orlando Magic. If you look at his track record, he was the reason why they were getting to the playoffs. And then when Tracy McGrady wanted to go to the Houston Rockets, Doc Rivers, there was a comment that he made. I'll win a championship. And he did. And then he goes and coaches the Boston Celtics. And he gets Kevin Garnett. He gets Paul Pierce. He gets Rondo. And greatness has been born. And he takes this team to the NBA Finals twice. Now, had Kevin Garnett not got injured in the 2009 NBA season, the Celtics could have made a run at the table for the championship 3 years in a row. They beat the Los Angeles Lakers, which is 22 years absent. And a lot of people don't know this, but the last time the Boston Celtics won an NBA championship, it was on my birthday. Well, not on my birthday, but the year that I was born. January 1986 was the last time they won a championship with Kevin McHale, Larry Bird, a.k.a. Larry Legend. They won a championship. That was the last time. And then here comes me at 22 years old in college, and the Celtics won a championship after a 22-year absence. And Doc Rivers has now done the impossible. Yes, they lose to the Lakers in the NBA Finals rematch in 2010, but they took the Lakers to 7 games. Then he coaches the Brooklyn Nets. Then he turns around and finds himself coaching the Los Angeles Clippers, and now he's in a position that he wasn't in before. To be coach, president, GM, whatever you want to call Doc Rivers, and he has a chance to pretty much what I just said. He took the archetype blueprints of my man Pat Riley, and you see it's paying off because the word is if the Lakers don't make it to the finals and the Clippers does, he'll have another championship on his finger. And he's on the verge of actually proving once again why he's able to do the impossible. And that's why he's higher on this list, even though people will argue he only has one championship, but he's on the verge of trying to win a second one. And he isn't just doing it as a coach. The guy's doing it as a president, a GM. And do you know how rare it is to do that in the NBA? Coming in at number 3 is Gregg Popovich. Gregg Popovich is like, what if you took one of the coaches, like if you take Bill Belichick from the New England Patriots and you just threw him in basketball, it's the same exact coach. He's serious, he's straightforward, he means business, he doesn't bullshit. He's the coach that when you come late to practice, he stops the whole practice, shuts the practice down, and punishes you like a real true basketball coach should. When I came to the YMCA and I came late, I had coaches that were just like Gregg Popovich. Oh, Odin, you came late? Yes. All right. 5 laps, 10 push-ups, 10 jumping jacks. And if I see you trying to get some water, if I see you trying to lollygag, I'm going to add another 10 and another 10. And that's Gregg Popovich. He's the type of guy, the type of coach that he will get the best production out of a basketball player. Like, you say 70, 80, 90%, he says 100. You get to 100, he says, give me another 5%. Give me another 5%. And before you know it, you've put out 110% out of all his players. He doesn't believe in superstars, all stars. He believes in a team. He believes in an actual system. It's the reason why the Spurs have won 5 NBA championships and gone to 6 NBA finals. And for him to be coaching over 20 years, started back in 1999, he was once an assistant coach. Then he becomes coach. And then he has that reputation that when you look at sports, his name is mentioned. Because the guy never gets happy. He never celebrates the championship because he takes everything he does serious. He's a serious coach. He's one of those coaches that are not going to be nice and beat around the bush. He's a coach that's going to tell you, you messed up in the basketball game. You take an ill-advised shot, he calls timeout, and you never get back in the basketball game. You take the ill-advised shot in practice, you don't get to practice for the rest of the day because to him, when he expects a job to be done, it should be done. And when you look at him on TV, when he gets mad and he gets technical fouls, he does come to bat for his players. He's not afraid of coaches. He's not afraid of what might actually happen. He's been thrown out of basketball games, and that's a coach that players stand up for. He's a guy who will defend players. He's a coach that basically isn't afraid of a superstar and that mentality. And he's even gotten rid of players who thought all about themselves and not about the team. And that's the type of coach you should have in the NBA and need more of. So you got to have Gregg Popovich at number 3. He's taken the best and he's beaten the best. And why is it kept close? You could kind of tell that the passing of the torch was given to him by the coach that I'm about to actually name off. Coming in at number 2 is Red Auerbach. He's won 9 championships as a coach. Probably could have won 10 or 11, but he won 9 as a head coach. He comes in, and everyone knows the story. He didn't exactly have that much experience, and he created his own blueprint. And he became legend because he won 9 championships, and he done something that had never been done before and hasn't been repeated since. To go to the NBA Finals every single year as coach, and every single year win the championship. It's like if you can compare him as a coach, you might have compared him to Green Bay Packers Vince Lombardi because they're like almost one and the same. The tradition values, family values, the players come to dinner, then it's time to go play basketball, it's time to go kick some ass and take some names, and he did it with his own style with the Boston Celtics, and it's why they became the first historic NBA franchise to actually win the most championships. Currently 17, and Lakers right behind, which, Laker fans don't want to hear that because, we want to surpass the Boston Celtics. Coming in at number 1, the number 1 coach in basketball NBA history. A guy